everyone. I'll now call the meeting for Monday, July the 4th, July the 4th, meeting to order. Ask if there's any conflicts of interest amongst the council members. No, thank you very much. Just before we get into the meat and potatoes of the agenda, it's with great pleasure that I introduce and welcome Tracy Pilon Abbs as our new Chief Administrative Officer. Tracy brings a wealth of experience to Essex. Most recently, she held a senior director's role with the municipality of Leamington, where she was responsible for building and fire services, planning, recreation, and culture. Tracy has also worked in economic development and brings more than 20 years of work experience to the town of Essex and 17 years of experience as a resident. Welcome, Tracy. We are looking forward to working closely with you.
Thank you.
We are affording Tracy as much time as she needs.
I'm only going to take a second. I just want to thank you for the opportunity to be your CAO. I look forward to serving council, staff, and the ratepayers, and working with council and the administration to implement your strategic plan. So thank you very much.
Thank you, young lady. And just before I turn the floor over to Rob, I will remind all the council members and everyone in the audience to turn off your electronics, please. And if you do get an emergency call, take it outside the chambers, please. Thank you very much. Robert?
Looking for any declarations of conflict of interest? Item 3, adoption of the published agenda for this evening's meeting.
Moved by Councillor Snively, supported by Councillor Bondi. Questions?
Oh, sorry. Your Worship, if I may add, is item 7 under reports, a quick report by the clerk on the closed meeting held tonight.
Thank you, sir. And then I have Councillor Vokes and Councillor Caxero.
Under new business, I'd like to have some candid discussions about what took place at the meeting of June 20th.
Your Worship, in accordance with the new business protocol, all new business items that are proposed, if the councillor proposing the new business could just state how the proposed new business item is minor and urgent in nature.
It's urgent, quite frankly.
Okay. Councillor, if you'd use your mic, please. Thanks.
Urgent.
It's up to you at this point. You at this point, the council as a whole.
Seeing how it is in the chair's best interest to move or not move forward with new items, the reason we have new items under minor and urgent in nature, the chair needs to know what is the urgency of this matter or the minor part of it. Like, it has to be both minor and urgent. What happened last week to me, or 2 weeks ago, as the chair, is an urgent. If you could give me, Councillor Vokes? Yes, sir.
I will. To be quite frank with you, the reason I find it urgent, because your honor, I feel as though what you did at the meeting of June 20th was not even close to being fair to the committee that was here and doing their presentationally. And secondly to that, in terms of fairness, it wasn't fair to me. When I reviewed the YouTube video and I questioned many people involved, nobody understood why you asked me to leave. And so under new business, when I look at the direction that the municipality is going under your leadership, sir, and all due respect to you, under new business tonight, I'm going to be asking you to step down as mayor of the town of Essex.
Okay. Now, to me, it's not urgent and it's not minor, but I do have the right to put this before council and ask their feelings. If they feel this should be dealt with tonight, I'm going to give them the opportunity to have it dealt with tonight. So, council, your feelings? Councilor Bondi?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think the counselor wants clarification on what happened and why he was asked to leave at the last meeting. I also watched the YouTube video, and I didn't really quite understand exactly why Counselor Vokes was asked to leave. I did see that during the video, when you said, Counselor Vokes, you can speak, he didn't say through you, so maybe that was why he got asked to leave. But it wasn't even like a repeat offense. It was the first offense in that meeting. So I think we should clear the air sooner rather than later as to why the counselor was asked to leave. And he did try to ask that night, but he wasn't given the opportunity. So myself, being a counselor, if I do something wrong in a meeting, I would like to know as well, because I don't want to, if I do something, I don't want to get kicked out as well. So I think it's within the counselor's rights to find out what he did wrong that warranted him getting kicked out of the meeting, because as a counselor, I want to know too, so that it doesn't happen to me.
Okay. I don't need to hear from anyone else. If that's all you want to know, I was going to explain, Council, but if you want the floor, you have it.
I asked at the meeting, and it's imperative for everybody to view it on YouTube, because I asked for clarification, and Robert's rules say very clearly that when something occurs of that nature, when as a counselor, when I ask for clarification, when you do something as ironic as ask me to leave a meeting, when I represent 20,000 people in the constituents within inside Ward 1, when two topics of that evening were very, very adamant to me. One is the flooding effects and the progress in Ward 1, and the second one was the harbor. You took that opportunity to represent my people away from me. With that being said, respectfully, your daughter Pam in the audience was shouting out gestures that evening, very boisterously. There was no control taken over that. What happened to the committee certainly wasn't even close to being fair. I asked the question if somebody else on council, whether it would be Councillor Caxero or Councillor Malash, irrelevant as it relates to our history, would you have asked them to leave? I think the answer very clearly is no. In terms of your leadership at the top, you're making all kinds of suggestions. You're moving on in meetings when issues that we're discussing aren't closed. And just two examples recently is the issue that Councillor Bondi had, the issue that Councillor Bjorkman had. You make terms in terms of people who are coming with flooding issues. You call them animals. You make reflection on the Board of Education.
Excuse me. Now, Councillor, you're out of order. We're going to deal with what happened on the 20th. Nothing 4 years from ago, 2 years ago. We're going to discuss the 20th, I believe, through the clerk. That's what the issue is?
Okay, that's fair.
On Tuesday? Okay.
That's
We'll
fair.
stick to the issue, sir.
So my point is that when you ask for a point of order at the meeting, there's not a counselor here would support you on a point of order because nobody knew what you're doing. So your worship, I don't say it with any disrespect. I say it with great sincerity on the direction that the corporation and that the municipality is going. And it's only of my opinion. And I've shared it with other colleagues as it relates to the town, as it relates to council. And the truth is, and I'm telling you the truth, they agree with me. And the problem is they won't say it as I'm saying it. I don't sugarcoat stuff. I say it. I don't like leaving individuals second guessing where I stand, where I sit, where my opinion is. And when I say something, it don't always make you the most favorite person on the block, but I'll never walk out of that door wondering where I stand. So with that being said, your worship, I think in the interest of the municipality, I want you to take strong consideration at my request to step down as the mayor of the town of Essex. And I'll leave it at that.
Well, first of all, sir, if you're finished, only if you're finished. Are you finished, sir? Okay. Because you told me on the 20th you were finished also. But first of all, you're not ever going to see me put my tail between my legs whether it's you or 100 of yous. You took it upon yourself to get removed that night, sir. I didn't remove you, you removed yourself. Now, the deputy mayor did say point of order after I don't know why, but I'm not as scared of you either. As the chair, I do my job. You, sir, are supposed to follow the code of conduct the same as everyone else in this room does. They do, you don't. Most meetings, sir. Now, if you want to get down to the nitty-gritty, I will get to it, but this is not the time or the place. What you want to know is, why did I remove you? You spoke to that delegation, and I don't know how many times I asked you to come through the chair. Come through the chair. And you refused to do it, as you did in that closed session. Not once, 5 times you spoke tonight. I don't care about back in the back room, but in this room, you will come through the chair if I'm sitting in it, and each one of you members will do the same thing. Now, when you were finished speaking to that Spitfire group, I asked you if you were finished. You said, yes, I'm finished. The public didn't hear that because your mic's not on. I heard you, and I don't know why. Councillor Bondi's wondering why I had you removed, because she's sitting right beside you. She had to have heard you say the same thing. Now, that's what happened. Now I go to Councillor Caxero. I have Councillor Caxero and Deputy Mayor Malash to speak next to the delegation. I asked you if you were finished. You said, yes, I'm finished. Now I go to Councillor Caxero and I said, Councillor Caxero, before I turn the floor over to you, because it is your floor, I'm going to say something. And I included every council member in here first. Each one of you people will come through this chair, whether I'm here or the deputy mayor is here. You will come through the chair when you're talking, so I don't care who it is in the room. That's when you started speaking, because I said, Councillor Vokes, you are the main culprit. And then you started telling me oh, Councillor Vokes, I have the floor here, please. You said, no, you don't. I've got the floor. I said, oh, okay. You've got the floor. My mic might be not, your mic might not be on. But anyways, I probably could hear it on the mic, but I'll watch the story myself. You gave the floor up. I know, point of order, right? I'm giving him his answer, sir.
Your worship.
Yes, sir.
Your worship, yes, I may. This is not good chemistry,
I know it is.
okay? So let's, your worship, let's move on with the meeting.
Okay, I'm giving
Thank
him
you.
his answer. You want this.
I understand that,
Okay.
but your worship, let's move
I'm
on
going
with
to
the
wrap it
meeting.
up real fast, okay? Now, I warned you, Councillor Vokes. You've been removed before. The code of conduct we have, one warning. Councillor Bondi, you get one warning. Yes, I told him. Councillor Vokes, this is your one warning. Now, you only get one warning. So heed it. Not one more word, I will remove you. And of course, he can't keep quiet. He's always got to have the last word. You know, out you go. Now,
That's enough, your worship. That's it. That's enough. It's done.
now who do you
Thank you.
think you are, Counselor?
No, Counselor, Mayor, it's enough. Let's.
Oh, you don't want the truth to be known. Okay, that's enough. That's fine. That's fine.
No, your worship,
That's
in
fine.
respect to you.
That's
okay,
fine.
in respect to Counselor Vokes,
Okay,
let's just not go on.
okay. Okay, thank you very much. So that's the reason, Councillor Bonnie, Councillor Vokes, and everyone, why he was removed from the chambers, because he would not follow the code of conduct. Councillor Caxero, your floor, sir.
Through your worship, I'd like to add under tonight's agenda, if I could, to delegations. Mrs. Quick, she'd like to speak to us on a stop sign issue at the corner of Sullivan and Jackson Street.
Speaking through your worship, if you can state the urgent and minor nature of the proposed addition?
There seems to be quite an issue with, through you, Mr. Chair, there seems to be quite an issue with the amount of people going through that stop sign without stopping. She wants to make council fully aware of this. She did call me on the weekend, but she wants to hand this over to council. she kind of feels obligated. She does not want to see any kids potentially, because there is some evergreen trees along the roadside, and the park is adjacent to those trees. She fears that possibly a kid could come running out of the park towards the street, and if somebody's going through the stop sign at that point, could have a child injured or worse. So she'd like to give that to us, put it on our plate so that her mind is clear. And I would be willing to, if need be, because I know to allow somebody to speak, we need a motion from council, so I'd be willing to make that a motion after our motion to receive tonight's agenda is passed.
Councillor Snively, we can vote on that motion right now.
Certainly.
Yep. Any questions to that motion? Oh,
Speaking of your worship, this is the motion to add Ms. Quick to the delegation? Okay.
yes, sir.
Through your worship, it's to add it to the agenda for tonight. We're in the process of adopting the agenda. So once the agenda is adopted, I'll make a motion to allow her to speak, because I think we need that also. Maybe this is putting the cart before the horse, but I think it needs to be added to the agenda so that it's on the agenda. Otherwise, we couldn't add it to the agenda.
Thank you, sir. Councillor Vokes? Oh. Anything else on the agenda? Councillor Vokes?
I don't want to be argumentative, but that's what I'm talking about. Really, council. I'm here tonight trying to get clarification and clarity as to what happened on the 20th. That's what I want to know, because it's important to the community. And then, with no disregard, just now, you've seen it, just now, through the chair, moved right to another topic, like it didn't even exist. And the same people that are moving it are some of the same people said he should step down. Look what you done, and look what the chair just allowed. We'll watch it on YouTube. You're going to see it. We never even concluded the discussion in terms of the request to have the mayor step down. You spoke, respectfully to you, Councillor Snively, you spoke over the mayor, and then he got all flustered and spoke to you, and then Bill starts speaking about something totally different. And then the people of the town of Essex wonder why we're in such disarray. Wouldn't you? Wouldn't you? Do you think that's what people should be represented that way? And it just witnessed it just now. The same disgruntlement I have about asking people to step down because things aren't being done properly, just witnessed and just proved itself just there. I'm not saying no more. I'm done.
Councillor Snively?
Through your worship, the only reason, in respect to you, I spoke over you, because I didn't want it to carry on. I mean, we can be argumentative here, okay, but we know what the situation is. We know the feelings of Councillor Vokes, what happened that night, okay? It's been discussed, you know, all I'm saying is let's not carry it on. You know, I think, Councillor Vokes, you got your point across of what happened. Thank you.
Larry, in all due respect to you, if I could, through the chair. You're one of the ones who...
Councillor Vokes, please, if you're going to speak, put your hand up and be recognized. You will not be recognized unless you put your hand up. I'm in this conversation too. I want to say you're blaming me. Councillor Snively asked me to stop, so I stopped after I had given you the reason why you were asked to leave. Did you not hear me?
Yes.
Because you wouldn't be quiet.
But
when I had the floor, you wouldn't give up. So the only way to get you to stop talking, sir, is to...
Point of order. We are in the midst of a motion to adopt the agenda.
You think? Just tell Councillor Vokes to put an end to it and it's over.
no, I'm not going to put an end to it. You owe us an answer.
I gave you the answer, sir.
Through your worship, excuse me. It's enough.
I agree, Larry.
Well, why don't you ask this gentleman to be quiet, Councillor Snively? You're running away from him. You're not running from me, you're running from him, sir.
Mayor McDermott, I did. I said, let's settle this.
You
and
stay,
go on.
maybe I will ask this gentleman to leave if he doesn't stop.
Mayor McDermott, I just want it to end.
So do
This has
I.
been going on since I got elected.
12 years.
Enough is enough.
We need a recess. Counselor, I'm calling a recess. 10 minutes. 10-minute recess. Counselor Snively, I want to talk to you in the hall, please, if you got time. I just need something in writing as what you would like us to be a part of, okay? If you could send that to the municipality. It's just too bad. I'm looking forward to watching this film. I forgot to report at the start of the meeting that Councilor Bjorkman's away on vacation and Deputy Mayor Malash is absent because he is ill. Thank you. Looking for a motion to adopt the published agenda? Did we? Got that, Rob? No, just dealing with additions. Councilor Caxera,
Point of order.
Okay.
I'm sure there was a mover and a seconder, and then we were in discussion with adding. Yeah. So we are at the point to call the question, but do I have the floor still?
Go ahead, sir.
Through you, I would just ask for clarification. I've asked for an item to be added. Councillor Vokes has asked for an item to be added. Are both items added or just one? I just like clarification.
To the chair or to a vote.
Well, it was up to the chair to allow discussion with Councilor Vokes. I thought we dealt with that. Okay. They're both on the agenda. I guess we'll go back to it.
Okay. So,
All in favor? Councilor Vokes.
Here we go again. Look at, in terms of the two issues brought under new business, there's only one remaining. The question was, through the chair, was it whether it was of urgent or non-urgent? I said it was urgent. He felt as though it wasn't. He said, we'll discuss it right now if we're going to discuss it, in which we did. Okay? His position is he's obviously not going to step down, so the issue is no longer of concern. Now the only one left is your issue, Councillor Caxero. Thank you.
Okay. Happy with that, Bill?
through you, I was just asking for clarification. I
Yep,
wasn't sure.
That's
Good.
it. That's
Thank-
clarification.
All in favor of the motion? Motion carries.
Item 4, adoption of minutes.
Councilor Caxaro?
Through you, I'd like to make a motion now that Mrs. Quick, who is not on the agenda, be allowed to speak for 5 minutes under delegation since it was added to the agenda.
Okay. Supported by Councilor Snively. Questions? The motion? All in favor? Motion carries. Oh, Councilor Vokes, questions?
Councillor Snively didn't support it. I supported it. Bill put it forward.
Oh, well, I heard Councilor Snively say
No,
yes.
it was me.
Okay. Councilor Vokes supports it. Got that, Robert?
Yep.
Thank you very much. Another mistake made by the chair. Councilor Bonnie?
Mr. Mayor, if I may, could she be the second delegation because we have one delegation registered on the agenda? It would just seem fitting that she be the second. Thank you.
Thank you.
Adoption of minutes from the June 6 regular council meeting.
Moved by Councilor Caxaro. Councilor Vokes, seconds. Any questions? All in favor? Motion carries.
Item 4B, adoption of the June 20th regular council meeting minutes.
Councilor Bondi, supported by Councilor Caxaro. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 5, public presentations. Our first delegation this evening is Louise Taranjo Harrison, speaking to a proposed bike trail on Fairview Avenue.
Ms. Harrison? Right at the center table, and if you push the purple button on the top, that should turn the red light on yours. There you go.
Your Worship, council members, my name is Louise Taranjo Harrison, and firstly, I'd like to thank the council members who came up to my residence to see the property of which I'm speaking. This letter is to voice my concern over the proposed change which will affect my property. I live at 27 Fairview Avenue East on the corner of Fairview and Irwin. Although I have been assured no plans are completed at this time, I wish my concerns to be noted and considered before plans are drawn up. With the reconstruction of Irwin, the proposed change to build a 3-meter multi-use path will encroach greatly on my way of life. I have approximately 9.1 meters to the road, and the path would be 4.5 meters from my bedroom windows. I'm a longtime resident of 40 years. I bought this property 5 years ago and invested large sum of money towards improvements inside and out. When I downsized, it was my hope to enjoy retirement at this location. I take pride in my residence, and I'm concerned my property value will decrease with a bike path so close to my home. I'm blessed to be able to enjoy my grandchildren, and we often play outdoors on the side and the front of the property, as there's no other area. A 3-meter wide multi-use trail would also limit parking on my driveway. I have spoken with many of my neighbors who have concerns over the proposal. However, many do not stand to lose as much as I do due to the unique layout of my home, being on a corner lot with little property. Another concern is the inevitable loss of mature trees along the road, which would have to be cut down, much to the detriment of the many benefits mature trees bring to the area I'm speaking of. I believe tax dollars would be better spent towards improvements in recreational facilities, such as water parks, tennis facilities, or bike trails in environments less intrusive to residents and closer to nature, such as the railway corridor, linking miles to neighboring communities. I have 4 proposals in order of preference. 1, I propose planners consider the layout of my property and allow for a paved shoulder on the north side of the street for multi-use. 2, I propose that the bike path begin on the far side of my driveway, connected to a paved shoulder to the corner. 3, I propose a plan to be flipped with the bike path across the street. 4, I propose sidewalks on both sides of the street. In closing, I sincerely hope Council will note my concerns and be willing to come up with a plan that will make these issues into serious consideration. Sincerely. That's it.
Thank you very much, young lady. Any questions of the delegation from council members? Comments, Councilor Oakes?
Thank you, Your Worship. I had the opportunity to go to Mrs. Harrison's property. I think Councilor Caxero was there, and her concerns are obviously very, very registered in terms of how this particular concern would invade her property. And I think Chris, I took her in seeing Chris. Chris did a good job of explaining to her the way it looks as of today. I don't understand why we're considering development of a trail and walkway on a side street. It's a side street that really, at the end of the trail and the end of the walkway, you end up at the liquor store. That's where you go. It's not like you end up at a harbor or you end up wherever you may end up. You end up at the liquor store. And I think that the consideration to do that, especially on this particular street, I don't get it, why we would spend such needed infrastructure money on a trail and walkway development on a side street that again goes to a plaza as you're facing the liquor store. So I can appreciate her concerns. I would be very concerned if I was her. If you have the opportunity to go to Mrs. Harrison's place, she keeps it, it's absolutely beautiful. It's a beautiful place, so I can understand her concerns. I can't understand why we would want a walkway there, or why we would want a bike path there. And I know it's only a tentative consideration for budget deliberations, but at the end of it, there's no sensible to it. It doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't link to anything. So, thank you.
Councilor Snively.
Through your worship, to Chris, it doesn't connect to any of our trail systems at all.
Chris?
Through your worship, it would connect to the Fairview Trail system. But as noted by Councillor Vokes, we're pre-preliminary almost, we're just getting into the survey. My job and our job as administration is to provide options to council. The direction I've gotten from council in the past has been pro-bike path, pro-connection, a healthy lifestyle. So those are some of the options that we're looking to bring to council. Ultimately, council decides on how that's going to shake out. But as far as whether it's a trail or a sidewalk, we're trying to listen to what council has asked us to do in the past with respect to accessibility, whether it be a bike path or a sidewalk, and look at fitting that in where we can. So.
Yes, sir, further.
Further to that, your worship, I really think that we should talk to the residents that live in that area to see if there is a need for that system, that trail system there, pardon me. Let's see what their input is. Maybe they don't want it. I don't know. I really don't. If I could talk to the delegation, have you talked to neighbors along there?
Yes. I have spoken to some, but as I pointed out in my letter, my property is going to be the most affected. My two neighbors right close to me, they have a large frontage on their property. They will not be as affected as I will, but they have told me that they support my concerns. The people on the other side of the street, some of their buildings are actually on town property, so they're very concerned. I have one neighbor that has a number of evergreen trees, and even if a sidewalk is put on the opposite side of the road, they're going to lose a lot of their evergreen trees. So there are concerns. Unfortunately, I'm the one with the most concern, so that's why I'm here.
Right. Through to Chris, further to Chris, there's a sidewalk on the opposite side of the street, isn't there?
Not on my portion. Oh, sorry.
Not on your
Out of
piece,
order.
right there?
Not on our portion of the road. Our portion right towards Fairview, there are no sidewalks on that
Mr.
portion of the
Nepsey.
street.
Yep.
Thank you.
Through your worship, there are sidewalks on both sides of Irwin. They discontinue mid-block, I guess is the best way to say it, but on both sides. On the what I would consider the west side, across the street, it stops a little bit closer to Fairview, and on the east side, it stops a little closer to towards Arthur. One thing I wanted to note to council, though, as with any of these infrastructure projects where we're doing these street reconstructions, we have open houses, invite all the residents, council. We've done them in the past. We did them for St. James, Wellington. We did it for Fairview, where residents and council, get to mingle and get a feel for what the residents are looking for. So again, this is something where we present options to council, and the ultimate design, unfortunately, typically, I don't think we've had one now where 100% of the people are going to be happy, but we definitely try to have as little impact as we can when we're shoehorning these designs in, and we'll go from there. So,
Councillor Snively.
Through your worship to delegation, so you heard it right there, there'll be a public input meeting. I would suggest to you, okay, if you don't want this to move forward, have your neighbors, have the people come along and voice their opinions. So that's why we have the public input. But a lot of times we have public input and a lot of people don't even show up. So if you're concerned, my advice is to have them show up and voice their opinion in support of you.
Thank you.
Turned it off. Councillor Vokes.
Thank you, Your Worship. In terms of linking, where you said links to Fairview, Chris. How does that link to Fairview? Starts at Fairview.
Through worship, right now, the trail currently goes to Talbot. We would look at extending that trail from Talbot to Irwin. That's short section, so that trail would pick it up. The thought, again, the pre-preliminary thought, when we're looking at linking is, how do we get, our core residents from that side of town to our main shopping district? Do we want them riding down Talbot, or do we want them riding down, a potential safer side street? So those are the thoughts that are being discussed. And again, I want to reiterate, I know I said it a few times, this is initial, like, as far as percent design goes, we're like single digits in right now, 1%, 2%, 3%. We've just started, we're collecting the data, and we're moving forward that way. So, but those are some of the thoughts as far as, there's a major shopping district there, get people off the main street, as far as bikers, as far as that traffic, children, and have them move that way. So, but again, we'll have the public input, and ultimately that decision lies with councils.
Councilor Vogt?
So in my negative pessimistic way, how would that assist me on South Talbot getting to the plaza? Like, I don't want to be pessimistic, but I don't understand invading a residential neighborhood with a bike path. And I know it's not you, Chris. I'm just for the record, I'm not pointing to you. I know you do it under council's direction. So I'm trying to understand why we as a council would consider taking a bike path, take a beautiful neighborhood like she lives in, put a bike path and take some of those nicely landscaped yards, tear them up, put a bike path there, and when you go up the bike path, when you come to the conclusion of it, you're on Arthur Avenue. And now I picture riding my bike up Irwin to Arthur Avenue. I come to the stop sign there. Where do I go? I know one could say, well, we're going to put bikeways along Arthur Avenue that will link you out to, I get all that. I just don't understand why we would deteriorate such a beautiful neighborhood with a bike path there.
Mr. Nepsey?
Through worship, I'm sure we're going to have plenty of discussions on this, but some of the comments I think I want to add to this are, there's the Essex Public School, which is down the street. So we're looking at linking those children potentially. And I said, whether it shakes out as a trail or a sidewalk, on one hand, we're getting complaints that we have 2 sidewalks on Irwin that end nowhere. They end in grass. And I've had complaints from people saying, why aren't these sidewalks linked down to Irwin or down to the Foodland or down to the new medical complex where we're trying to get to? So, whether that connection is in the form of a trail or a sidewalk, I don't know, but I feel strongly that connection of some sort is needed there. So, more to follow, I guess.
Thank you, sir. Councilor Bondi?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think our Director of Infrastructure is definitely right in terms of saying council has given a strong mandate, especially in the last term of council, that we want trails, we want active living, we want walkable, livable, bikeable communities, but not at the expense of your convenience. Right now, I don't really see anything that we have in front of us to vote on. We don't have any specific project. So I think that when that project comes, we need to hear from you then. When the time is right, I'd like to make a motion to receive the presentation and the options. I'd like to see the options that you've presented. And I'm sorry I did not make it out this week. My baby kept me really busy, but I do want to see your property, Mrs. Harrison. I'm looking at it on Google Maps right now, and I know what you're talking about with the beautiful mature trees. It's a gorgeous piece of property. So I think that we have enough time right now to plan ahead so we can plan out some options. Right now, though, I really don't see that there's anything that this council can do because we don't have the project in front of us to vote on, other than you're being extremely proactive, which is great, and making us aware of what obstacles we want to avoid when it comes to planning this project. That being said, if there is an election and then this trail goes in after, make sure you come to that next council because it could just take that long, and then there could be many different bodies here, and then things could change. So when the time is right, I'd like to move to receipt the presentation. Looking for a seconder.
Anything else from anyone? I just have a few comments because I also went out and visited the young lady's house and went back and look for Chris, Mr. Nepsey. He wasn't in, but I did get to talk to Richard Bosley, who took me outside to both sides of Irwin Avenue with a tape measure and everything else. Showed me exactly where this all-purpose trail would go, all-purpose sidewalk. I don't know, I forget which way he put it, but it was a 3-meter piece of trail, which to me is a little excessive when you figure it's going to take every one of those trees off of Irwin Avenue, not just the little tree in the lady's house, but you come this side of Wellington Avenue, every one of those little trees, Brian, this side of Brian, every one of those, Richard Bosley put them in, he planted them, and said if we put this multi-use trail in there, he would cry, literally cry, because he was the guy that planted those, and we'd have to take every one of them out. To me, doesn't make sense. He said he would like to see a sidewalk there, and that's what I would like to see, a sidewalk, maybe not a 3-foot one, maybe a 4-foot one versus a 9-foot one. I don't know. That'd be my choice, 2 sidewalks versus a multi-use trail that's going to ruin that whole boulevard over there. So that's my 2 cents. And Sherry Bondi, you have it.
Motion to receive.
Motion to receive the presentation and to receive your recommendations as well.
Councillor Snively supports. Any questions to the motion? Nope. All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Thank you, young lady.
Your Worship, our second delegation this evening added as item 5B is Miss Carol Quick speaking to or concerning the stop sign at Jackson and Sullivan.
Mrs. Quick, welcome. Same hot seat.
Thank you very much, all of you, for allowing me to talk this evening. And just a quick update, I did actually fill out the form. So I was on and I was off, so thank you for letting me be back on again. I appreciate that. And I will explain that to a little bit. I did bring 4 pictures. I don't know if I'm allowed to hand them to you to make the site a little easier for everyone. Give that to you. Thank you, Bill. Just in case someone's not real familiar with that corner. The problem being, I do live in the village of Colchester at 55 Sullivan Street, so I'm approximately 9 houses away from the marina as far as the drive going down into the harbor. Jackson Street runs north and south, meeting Sullivan Street. And there is a stop sign on the south end of Jackson Street. So anyone coming from County Road 50 or the northern part of the village would come down Jackson Street, and there is a stop sign. Because I live so close and we're retired and we have a pet, we walk a great deal in the village, as many of my neighbors do. And we see every single day numerous vehicles go through the stop sign. In a lot of cases, I know it is truly an accident because many of us in the neighborhood, if we're close enough to the corner, will call out and say, stop, or you've just run a stop sign, and people literally have had a shocked look on their face. What is happening there, we believe, is it's just a beautiful sight as you come down Jackson Street. You've got the water. There's been so many improvements. There's parking, there's fishing, there's so on in the one area. There's a park on another area. There's restaurants. And people, I think, in many cases are just looking around, and it's inattentiveness to the stop sign. The real issue here is when they miss that stop sign, what happens is we have 4 very large cedar trees right on the right, that is at the edge of the park. Beyond those 4 cedar trees is a sidewalk coming out of the park. It's an exit entrance to the park. Anybody that is on that sidewalk, and I'm really going to refer to children, that's my biggest concern. If they're running, if they're riding a bicycle, and they're coming out of that park, there is no stop for them. And they come out onto that road, they don't see what is coming from the north, and the car who has just run the stop sign doesn't see anybody coming off of that sidewalk. There's another type of a driver besides the one that is missing the stop sign entirely. There's another driver who coasts through. He knows the stop sign is there, but he's kind of looking, oh, there's nobody coming down Sullivan, I can go through. They don't even realize, I think most of them, there is that sidewalk there. And then you have the driver, obviously, who stops. I mentioned that I was on and I was off the agenda because I have to say, like, I have talked to other people or attempted to talk to other people over the past 3 years. And I really felt it was time that I had to come to council because we have seen so many things happen. So I did fill out the form, and I have to say Mr. Nupsey was very good at getting back to me the very next afternoon, and he said to me, have you been for a walk yet? And I said, no, I haven't. And he said, we've put larger stop signs down there, and we've painted the road white, like the stripe, so that cars will stop. And so we discussed it, and we were hoping that it would help solve the problem. Now, I can't say, maybe it did solve some of the vehicles from going through there. I wasn't around the following day, the second day, but my neighbor had his child in the park, better part of the day, and he witnessed over 35 vehicles go through the stop sign. And the others that coasted through. He saw a police car go through the stop sign. He saw a motor home go through the stop sign, and many boats and trailers go through the stop sign. That same night, my husband and myself and another couple were visiting down the street, and we saw a motorcycle and about a half a dozen other vehicles go right through the stop sign. I don't believe that what has been done is going to solve the problem. I know that people run stop signs all the time, but you know, a lot of money has been spent in the village. We've really got a nice village there. And with all the extra things that we're doing to draw all the extra people, we have a responsibility here. And I don't want to be the person to know or to see an accident down there, and I don't think anybody in the town wants to be feeling like they should have done more to maybe save a child's life or serious injuries. There's, throughout the neighborhood, there's a feeling that we really do need a flashing light. I'm the one that's speaking, but we all talk about it. Maybe we need lettering ahead on the pavement, signs ahead that note a pedestrian crosswalk. Maybe we need some more police presence. We definitely feel we need to clean up the line of sight where those trees are. And maybe we even need a small sign in the park as people exit, asking them to stop. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I have Councillor Snively and Councillor Vokes.
Through your worship, two things here. I think one big problem here is police presence is one. We do need police enforcement down there. The second question I have for administration, on our budget, our last budget, we did have monies left over, okay, and I would make a recommendation that we do put one of those solar flashing lights like I suggested at Tim Hortons in Harrow. If we could get one of those in there, I think it would help. I talked to Chris today on it. We discussed the issue and he brought that up. And so if we do have some extra money there, I would make a motion, if I could make a motion that we do put a solar panel stop flashing light there and request some enforcement by the OPP. Thank you.
Councillor Vokes.
Thank you, Your Worship. That's what I was going to say, is we don't need to reinvent the wheel here. We've already done it. And in terms of costing, the cost shouldn't be that huge on those solar lights. I think they're probably have some significance in terms of value, but I'd hate like heck to have Mrs. Quick come before us and then somebody get hit while we decide whether or not to spend a Gino or so on a light. We should just move with it. Just get the light up. How much was that light, Chris? Do we know it by Tim Hortons?
Mr. Nepsey, please.
Through your worship, yeah, Mrs. Quick and I had a good conversation about the plans with respect to Jackson Street. And as she noted, we had some short-term improvements that we could make. We put the stop bars in, we enlarged the stop signs, hoping that would highlight those stop areas. It sounds like they didn't do much. So I also noted to her that, long-term, the potential for that solar flashing light, they're about around $3,000 by the time said and done. But as far as it would have to come out of, I guess, as Councillor Snively had noted, the council's budget. Our budget is so tight right now as far as that part. If council agrees with that direction, that's something we could order right away and install. In addition, I also want to let council know, I've been discussing with Doug Sweet quite a bit as far as the Jackson Street layout, and as Doug's noted, it's a good problem that we have these issues down there. It's a good problem that we have traffic. It's a good problem that we have parking, but we have to do something about that. So we're looking at that Jackson Street design. We're looking at parking. We're looking at overflow parking, on-street parking and Richardson Lane, and how that's all going to tie together with the active and inactive playground areas in Jackson Park. So it is part of a larger scope, as Ms. Quick noted, that we're trying to incorporate all these things. But I think, as Councillor Snavely recommended, that would be, a better upgrade, a solar flashing light.
Further council votes?
Thank you, Your Worship. When the time's right, I'll put a motion for it.
Councillor Snively, yes. He's first in line, then you'll be second, sir. Councillor Caxaro.
Through your worship, I guess I'll look to Mr. Nepsey to comment. Certainly the flasher does bring some attention, but I've had residents note that the flasher there at Queen and Center has not stopped everyone from going through that intersection. So I don't know if it's the end-all and be-all. I don't mind putting that in. It does attract some more attention. I wonder though if either a sign or paint on the road suggesting that there's a stop ahead prior to the stop sign, and also, as Mrs. Quick alluded to, potentially something in the park warning pedestrian traffic that they should be stopping. I don't know if there's something that we can put up there. I know it sounds like overkill, but certainly the first kid that gets nailed there, it's not going to be overkill anymore. I think if, for the sake of, and I don't know how much the signs cost, but even if they're $500 a piece, plus the $3,000, that's $4,000. I'd rather spend $4,000 than see somebody get hit, or and that could still happen, but at least we're doing some due diligence by doing those few things. I will also, at our police board meeting this Thursday, bring it up, and I will be mentioning that residents have noted that even cruisers have gone through the stop sign. So certainly that does not leave me pleased. They certainly should be stopping at the stop sign. I don't know what the problem is, but obviously there's a big problem down there.
We get into motions, any comments? Because I have a couple. When I was looking at your pictures, young lady, I didn't see a problem with the brush obscuring the stop sign. It looked like it was the stop sign and you couldn't miss it. I have no idea why people aren't stopping, but something needs to be done. There's no doubt in my mind. Don't cut those trees down because they're a long ways away. It looked like in your pictures from the stop sign. Now, like we're talking about $3,000 or $4,000, something that, like Councilor Caxero said, that's not really working at the Tim Hortons, that flashing light. I've had people tell me the same thing. With rumble strips, would that have more of an effect on a driver when he, boom, boom, you know, 3 or 4 of those down the road? Is that going to slow the guy down to the point that he's going to see? Like, before we make a motion to do this or do that, I'd like to see some kind of report that, here's our options. You know, just not pick this one out of the hat. I would like to see options that we would have. To me, a rumble strip, you know, road is going to slow people down a heck of a lot sooner than that stop sign's going to. But those are my comments. And who do I have first? Councilor Snively and Councilor Vogt.
Through your worship, I know one problem down there for sure. We have a lot of traffic down there, and we cannot, for some reason, I don't know what it is, I brought this up to council before in administration, for some unknown reason, we cannot keep the traffic off going down below. And people are coming up there, and they're going down below there, and there's a lot of traffic coming up and down that hill there. And that's a big safety concern too, because there's little kids going down that hill, and yet we have unauthorized vehicles going down there. I asked for a sign there, okay, there should be a sign up on top, authorized vehicles only. And to this day, it's still not there. You know, I'd like to see that sign there, authorized vehicles only. It's not there. And that sign should be there. As far as your worship, as you say, a rumble strip, are you talking like the only problem I would have with that myself is there's so much public walking down there. You know, I don't know if that would be a liability, somebody trip over one of those. I think that with all that traffic in the park, Chris, would you agree with that, with all that traffic in the public traffic in there walking?
Yeah, through your worship, I think a good start would be the solar flashing red light. I think that's a good start, and then I think ultimately the design of Jackson Street and how that plays out is where you need to go in the future with the entire scope of things. I think rumble strip is maybe not needed in this area, personally. I think, you know, as far as bikers hate them, walkers don't like them. So I think the solar flasher for now is a good interim solution, and I think that'll highlight the area a little more significantly. I can look at additional signage as far as stop ahead. We typically don't do that in urban settings as far as stop aheads, but that's something we can look at. As far as you know, don't run onto the street signs, that's something that I'd have to look at a little more in depth. We don't have them at any of our other parks. So is there something we can do at those paths exiting to maybe not state don't run in the street, but maybe a bollard or something, you know, where they force you to get off your bike and go around type thing, those types of things to help, you know, people can walk through them, but bikers can't fit in them, so it forces you to stop. So we can look at those options, and I'll discuss with Doug and his department and see, you know, where we feel we need to go. But definitely the solar flashing and maybe some additional signage right now, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, Councilor Snively?
Through your worship, I'm going to make a motion that we do put the flashing light there. And I also like the idea of Councilor Coxero's recommendation of if we could paint at that intersection a line across there and with lettering stop right on the road. I think we need it both there. I'll make that motion. Thank you.
Moved by Councilor Snively, supported by Councilor Bondi. Any comments? Councilor Bondi?
Just through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Snively, were you asking for that no unauthorized vehicles as well? Okay. Okay. Thank you. And thank you. I support the motion, and I like our Director of Infrastructure's idea of meeting with our Director of Community Services down there to think about other options as well. Thank you.
Mr. Nepsy?
Through your worship, I know Doug's not here tonight, and I'm not sure, I don't think Cynthia would be in touch with that discussion we had on that no authorized vehicles sign in place at the top of the hill. There's issues surrounding that. It's not as easy as council deciding to put that up. That's not our land down there, ultimately. And, you know, what constitutes an authorized vehicle, it's a little more difficult than simply stating that, you know, whether it be people going to get ice cream or whether it be, so I'm trying to speak on behalf of Doug, but there's more to it than simply putting that sign up.
Mr. Snively?
Through your worship, to Chris, we had a sign up there. There was a sign there last year, year before. It disappeared. I don't know what happened to the sign. There was a sign there before, wasn't there, Carol? I don't know what happened to the sign.
Through your worship,
Yes, sir.
it sounds like there was a sign. I don't necessarily know that there was supposed to be a sign.
Okay. Ready for the question? All in favor of the motion? Motion carries. Thank you very much, young lady.
Next, your worship, is item 7, reports from administration. We added the clerk's verbal report on the closed meeting held earlier tonight. Earlier tonight, council by motion moved into closed session to consider business as permitted to do so under the Municipal Act. In the interest of transparency, I am to report in public session any outcomes that can be reported from that closed session business as a result of the meeting held earlier. I wish to report that direction was provided to administration in regards to the disposition of surplus land identified as north-south Gesto Side Road, and direction was provided and discussion ensued concerning 2 other proposed or pending acquisitions of land, all pursuant to Section 239-2C of the Municipal Act. And that's the extent of my closed meeting report.
Thank you, sir.
Item 10, correspondence. 10A, correspondence to be received by council, that the correspondence listed in items 10A 1 to 6 be received and where indicated to further share such information with the community.
Moved by Councilor Snively. Okay, seconded by Councilor Caxero. Question, Councilor Snively.
The first one, the widening of Highway 3. I just want the public to realize that I'm very, very disappointed of the government of the day, that they would turn their back to public safety. I can't believe it because of the colors that are worn down here. This has all got to do with politics. And I hate to say it, but it's a shame. It's a shame that they have turned their back on the citizens down here
Yes.
and put people at risk.
Yes, Minister of
That's my opinion.
Transportation.
Thank you.
Pull it up.
Thank you, sir. Anything further? Councilor Vokes?
I was reviewing the minutes from the previous meeting in terms of number 3 highway. And I seen on there, and I want some clarity on it. I seen on there that it said that county council, it's their intent to have a meeting set up with the Ministry of Transportation, right? Did you all see that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, and then in that, it said that the intent would be for us to meet with county council to discuss. That's what it said. Yeah, it does. Trust me. So, I guess my question is that why are we meeting with county council?
If you're asking me, you'd have to show me that, because and
I'll look it up right now in terms of,
Okay.
of the agenda. It's there. And it says that county we're going to meet with county council to discuss widening the number 3 highway. And I'm just trying to understand, why would we meet with county council? What are we going to do?
being a part of county council, at our county council meetings, all we discussed was Mr. Bateman was supposed to set up a meeting date with the minister, Del Duca, with the 3 mayors and himself, so I'm not aware of anything, any discussion with regards to the town meeting with the county.
Yeah, I'll find it.
Okay, yeah, and you can bring it up after, later in the meeting, sir.
Actually, it's right here. This is it right here.
Got it?
Your worship, I did find the location in the minutes, and it does state.
Could you read it aloud if you?
Yep. The resolution from the last meeting states that correspondence from the County of Essex dated May 27, 2016, advising that they have requested an opportunity to appear before the Ministry of Transportation to share their concerns regarding the ministry's plans to delay widening Highway 3 from Essex to Leamington be received, and that council supports a meeting with the county to discuss this issue. Carried.
So to that, if I could, through the chair, why are we meeting with the county? Why did we agree, what are we gonna do with the county? We're gonna sit in this room and go, hey, number 3 needs widening? And they're gonna go, oh, really?
So what Rob does anyone else recall that? That's us, asking to meet with the county. I don't recall that. Myself, Bill's shaking his head, no.
Yeah, we did.
I don't know.
I was.
Why did we?
I don't know.
Can you
That's
explain,
my
Randy?
I don't know. That's my question.
Yeah,
I don't know.
'cause I don't know why we would either.
Okay. All right. Just, if the council, if I could, if the county's under the impression we're going to meet with them, I think somebody should advise the county. We don't need to meet with them. What are we going to tell them? They're obviously left with that impression through that. So we just need to get a hold of the county and tell them we're not going to, there's no need to meet with them on number 3 highway.
You're right, if that went through, we'll make sure tomorrow we'll contact the county and ask them if they received this even. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Ready for the question? All in favor of the motion? Motion carries. With regards to Councillor Snively, I agree with you. Hey, believe me, they're sure not looking down this way. But we did get if you read number 6, the Ministry of Transportation did send us a letter with regards to the ongoing. What did it say? I think between 15 and 19, it's in the works. Like, it's not like it has stopped. Like we think it stopped down here. We believe it. I believe it stopped. But we did get that letter that's in our minutes stating that this is what's happening, and between 15 and 19, something should be done. So I have Councillor Snively and Councillor Cachero.
Your worship, I agree with what you're saying there, but I'm tired, and I think all the public is tired of letters. Let's get some action. You know what? What are we going to wait here for? We're waiting for the provincial government to widen this highway, and all they're waiting for is more deaths on this road, and it's going to happen this year and next year. There's going to be more people killed on that road, and they have turned their backs completely at this end of the province. And that's what I want to put forward to the public. It's Toronto area, that area, London area is getting all the money. From London down, we don't get a penny. We haven't even got infrastructure money down here, which is a shame. They've cut us right off. So they're showing their true colors. Thank you.
I wish you could tell us something we didn't know there, but thanks. Councillor Cachero.
Through your worship, I know, I'm not sure where I read it, but somewhere in there, the ministry mentions also the fact that they're waiting for the town to complete the Hanlon Street connection. So I don't know if they're using that as a card or what, but I'd like to maybe have Mr. Nepsey comment on where we're at with that, or I'm sure we're not holding up the process, and I think that should be public. You know, that certainly isn't our fault. I'm sure that we'd be willing to move on that if that's the need from the ministry as far as moving forward with Highway 3.
Well, Mr. Nepsey.
Through your worship, yes, Councillor Caxera, the Hanlon Street extension was tied to the expansion of the highway. You know, it was part of the solution to expand the highway, to add the lanes and cut off our access at Victoria, went hand in hand with extending Hanlon through to the Yarner. Our reasoning was that if, you know, we're taking away our residents' access to Victoria, we want them to travel through a main street, Hanlon, to get to the highway and not through Woodview and Tully's Meadow. So we had some back and forth with the MTO with respect to how that was going to pan out as far as an agreement with lands that weren't owned by us tied to a project that was not connected to the highway. So there was some discussions back and forth, but I'm happy to say that as of last week, they've found money in their budget to basically put aside that money to build Hanlon out, whether it happens from us or a developer first or the highway expansion first. And that agreement, I'm okay with, I guess, the latest part of the agreement, so it's in its next steps of finalizing. So that is no longer, I guess, a sticking point for any of the highway expansion.
Good, Bill. Thank you, sir. Councilor Vokes.
Thank you, Worship. Here we are again. We do the arm length discussion, we do the arm length action, and then we rely on another body to help to do what is our work. And what I mean by that is here we are going to rely on a county council to discuss number 3 highway as it relates to us in terms of, in my care of number 3 highway. To be quite frank with you, is it's not that I don't care about the whole road, but the whole road's not my responsibility. What I care about is from obviously County Road 8 through the Yarner and the widening of it there. And because I can tell you there's accidents there just like there's accidents every place else. So what does that mean to us as a council? If county council wants to take it and discuss it with the ministry, however their format rolls out, then guess what? Help yourselves. Go ahead. Do whatever you can do. I'm all for you lobbying. But what I want as a responsible councillor sitting in this chair to the constituents I represent is I want a meeting with the ministry. I don't want the county council to do it for me. I don't want other people to do it for me. I don't want to talk here tonight for an hour and nothing comes to fruition out of it. I would like to direct our administration to send a letter to the Minister of Transportation, the head of the Minister of Transportation, that specifically says we want to meet with them about the security and the safety of number 3 bypass as it relates from County Road 8 to the Yarn. Because that's what our concerns are. That's the people we represent. And if anybody else wants to get on board and do the next venue until we connect it right through to Wheatley on 4 lanes, so be it. But I want a formal letter sent to the ministry that says we want to meet with them. And then that response has to be raised at the next meeting once we get that response. And we have to call the Wynn government out through these chambers. Trust me, Wynn doesn't care about number 3 bypass right now, neither does anybody in her structure. Nobody cares. They proved it over and over again. Because if they cared, they'd be out there. Because we're just one small municipality, and every day they have their complaints from municipalities all across Ontario about the safety of the road. So that's what I want to get out of this. I just would ask that we ask our administration to send a letter to the Ministry of Transportation what their first opportunity would be to meet with them. And if I got to go down east, then I'll go down east to meet with them. I don't care. But I want to meet with the ministry. And then when they, because here's what they're going to do. They're going, no, we're taking care of it. And then we shame the hell of them. That's what we should be doing. Right here, through this, through there, through them. Because they don't care about us people, and they don't care about that bypass, and that's the truth.
Sir, Councilor Bondi.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, I believe that AMO, through our conference, we're going to try to meet with the Ministry of Transportation, are we not? So, Councillor
Yes.
Vokes, unfortunately, you won't be attending AMO, but some of us are going to try to meet with the Ministry of Transportation then, and they're right in our backyard, so we don't have to go down east. Whether you choose to go down east after that is up to you, but I will certainly be taking advantage of the conference that's in Windsor on August 14th, 15th, and 16th, and we will meet with them.
Exactly. And I know we've met with ministers in the past. Anytime we've requested an audience with the ministers, we've been granted that. So Mr. Auger says he hasn't got it back yet, but there's no doubt in my mind that we will have an audience with him. Thank you. Councilor Vokes?
Thank you, Your Worship. In fairness, that's exactly what I hate about conferences, right there. Hate them for that reason. You go to a conference, everybody rubs elbows, everybody's in a little happy-go-lucky mood. You meet in a foyer like out there. You talk to the Ministry of Transportation cabinet leader, and then he goes, "Yeah, let me. You're right. Yeah, understood. Yeah, we know that's a problem. Yeah, boy, I'm glad we come to this conference to talk about this. Yeah." And then they go home and they forget about it. That's not the format to raise something of that concern. You know that's how that's going to happen. We all know it. I want that formal meeting in here with them there. And if they don't want to be there, then we'll go up there.
Councilor Vokes, to you, sir, I don't know how many times you had us write, and rightly so, letters to ministers or whoever to get them down here. They just don't do those things. We have an audience with that person at AMO, and he's going to be in one spot for 3 days, and everybody across the province is going to have a shot at him. Now, to get him to go to everyone that attends that AMO conference in their own municipality wouldn't happen. Not one of us would be able to do that. The best thing that is available to us is AMO presently. We can send a letter, and it'll be the same thing as every other time. Too busy. Whether they're too busy or not, that's what we're going to hear, because we've heard that many times. Okay?
Next on the agenda is item 10B, correspondence to be considered for receipt and support. Item 1 under 10B is City of Kenora resolution requesting provincial government to ban door-to-door sales for electricity by passing the Strengthening Consumer Protection and Electricity System Oversight Act for receipt and support.
Councilor Caxiero,
I'd like to move receipt and support.
in support? Okay. Do we have a seconder? Councilor Snively. Councilor Vokes, you had your hand up, sir. Sure, go ahead.
If I was Tracy right now, I'd be a little confused. Because I had asked that we send a letter to the ministry. I'm not sure if council supported that or not. And then you said, well, we got a chance to talk to him at AMO, and we can go to Mike. So my request to send a letter to the ministry, are we moving with that, or aren't we?
Make a motion, sir. We'll get a seconder and we'll vote on it.
It doesn't have to be a motion.
Okay.
It just has to be a direction. That's all.
Okay, so one council member is going to direct.
No, I'm just asking council to support the direction.
Oh, okay. Which one's first? You both got your hand up.
Through you, I was just going to suggest that we deal with the issue that is on the table prior to, and then we can go back to that. I have no problem
That
with
was
that.
on the table first, Bill.
Ready for the question? We have a motion on the table. All in favor of that motion? Opposed? Motion carries. Councilor Vokes, you want to go back to
We already
previous
have.
article?
I would support sending the letter. It's fine.
Okay,
If you want just a consensus, I support.
okay, you got at least three without having a vote. Go ahead, sure. It's
Okay.
done.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Item 2, under agenda item 10B, is correspondence from teachers of English as a second language, asking for receipt of that correspondence and for council to proclaim the week of November 20th to the 26th as English as a second language week in the town of Essex.
By Councillor Snively, supported by Councillor Bondi. Any questions? All in favor? Motion carries. Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 11, committee meeting minutes. That the committee meeting minutes in items 11A through D be received, adopted, and the recommendations contained therein be approved as presented.
Moved by Councillor Snively, supported by Councillor Caxero. Any questions to any of them? Councillor Bondi?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As the council rep that liaisons with the Harrow Chamber, I will bring it back to the chamber that it has, I know they'll receive a letter, but I will reiterate it to the chamber that they may wish to look at a BIA improvement area as a source of long-term funding for some of their events. And I'll guarantee that we have that conversation again with the Harrow Chamber.
Thank you. All in favor of the motion? Motion carries.
Your worship, next on the agenda, agenda item 15, any announcements this evening?
Councillor Snively and Councillor Caxero.
This is not an announcement, but this is my mistake, Your Worship. I just wanted a real quick update on the Petro property when the sign is coming, the fence is coming down. Do you know that, Ralph? In Harrow?
Speaking of your worship, I don't know that at this particular moment, but certainly I can get that for you as soon as possible.
Because I see they have cleared, everything's filled, and they look like they're putting soil in there, or spreading soil. I like just to see the fence come down. Thank you.
Councillor Caxero?
Through your worship, I guess it would be appropriate to make a pitch, and it's advertised well, but the Fun Fest is coming up here in Ward 1. And I don't think it's too late to buy the $20 ride all day tickets for the kids that want to attend, or parents that want to bring their kids. It's pretty good to take advantage of that, because it's usually fairly costly to ride the rides. So that's kind of a nice benefit to coming to the Fun Fest. All kinds of other events that happen, the parade, the car show, certainly, great event to attend.
Thank you, sir. And I will add that you have 2 days left to buy those reduced tickets all day for $20. I know you can get them at the swimming facilities and the arena and 2 of the ladies' fashion shops in town, but they haven't been open all weekend. And I don't know, because Steve and his wife are gone away, if they're going to be open or not, but there are 2 anyways for sure. Thanks, Bill.
Item 16, bylaws. Bylaws for third and final reading. Bylaw 1514 being bylaw to provide for the gender drain.
Moved by Councillor Caxero, supported by Councillor Snively. Questions? All in favor? Motion carries.
Bylaw number 1528 being a bylaw to authorize the execution of a lease agreement between the town of Essex and St. Vincent de Paul for the operation and storage space for a food bank at the Harrow Soccer Complex.
Moved by Councillor Snively, supported by Councillor Caxero. Questions? All in favor? Motion carries.
Bylaw number 1533 being a bylaw for the declaration of surplus lands by the Corporation of the Town of Essex.
Moved by Councillor Vogel, supported by Councillor Caxero. Questions? All in favor? Motion carries.
Bylaw 1534 being the bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the June 30th regular council meeting. June 20th, yeah.
20th. Is that Councillor Cacero and Councillor Snively? Questions? All in favor? Motion carries.
Item 16B on the agenda, bylaws that require first, second, and third and final reading. Bylaw number 1530 being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 1037, the comprehensive zoning bylaw, with respect to 2115 County Road 12.
Moved by Councillor Cacero, supported by Councillor Vokes. Questions? All in favor? Motion carries.
Bylaw number 1537 being a bylaw to appoint a chief administrative officer for the town of Essex.
By Councillor Vokes, supported by Councillor Bondi. Questions? All in favor? Motion carries.
Bylaw number 1532. Bylaw number 1532 being a bylaw to authorize the lease of farmland on part of lots 31 to 33, concession North Malden Road, re Never Rest Farms Limited.
Moved by Councillor Cacero, supported by Councillor Snively. Questions? All in favor? Motion carries.
Bylaw number 1538 being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 936, property standards for maintenance and occupancy, being a bylaw to prescribe standards for maintenance and occupancy of property within the town of Essex, and prohibiting the occupancy and use of such property that does not conform to the standards.
Moved by Councillor Bondi, supported by Councillor Cacero. Question, Councillor Bondi.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Possibly to our clerk or the director of infrastructure, this bylaw, is this the one that we've been waiting for in terms of commercial vehicles and residential properties? This is the one that gives us some teeth so that our bylaw enforcers have the ability to ticket? Is that,
Yep.
the difference between this bylaw and our past property standards bylaw?
Speaking through your worship, that's my understanding. This amendment expands or adds expanded definitions for recreational vehicle, trailer, commercial motor vehicles, some gaps that were identified before, and that's so that set fines can be established for those particular offenses. And as well, the other major change that came out of this amended bylaw was to increase the set fine amounts themselves.
Councillor Snively and then Councillor Vokes.
Through your worship, I just want to say one thing to our staff, to property standards, a good job. They're on top. Chris, thanks a lot for the direction. A lot of the area at the south and north end of our municipality is really being cleaned up. I got a lot of good compliments about our staff and the way they're cleaning up our municipality. And let's just keep on it. Let's get aggressive on it. And like I said before, it's not fair to the neighbors living beside somebody like that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Vokes.
Bylaws for
Moved by Councillor Cacero, supported by Councillor Bondi. Questions? All in favor? Motion carries. Councillor Snively and Councillor Cacero. Questions? All in favor? Motion carries. Any final announcements before we go? Looking for adjournment? Councillor Cacero and Councillor Bondi, all in favor? Motion carries. Have a great evening, everyone. Have a good Fun Fest weekend.